Protect your car with 3W Liners all-weather floor mats. Made from durable materials like TPE and rubber, our mats are designed to withstand rain, snow, and mud with deep grooves to trap dirt and liquids. For a custom fit and advanced protection, visit 3W Liners. That's the number 3, WLINERS.com today. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. From gourmet snacks to unique finds, each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. This is a Rogue Media Network podcast. Hello there, and welcome to King of the Hill podcast. I'm Mike.
And I am Rusty.
Rusty, we're doing this over the internets.
We're synced through satellites and Elon Musk. And
we had to call Elon Musk this morning, and that's not easy. You know, he nice enough guy, whatever. Just a little odd, a little bit of an oddball. And Sunday morning is not. He is not easy like Sunday morning. Let's just.
No, he was too busy arguing with Twitch streamers about who could play video games the best.
Well, and then he said that he thought that our podcast was meaningless spending, and so he vowed to get rid of us once the new administration takes over.
Yeah, we're on the Doge hit list.
But you got a new robot hand or something. What happened for you on Friday?
I had they put 2 incisions and went in and they clipped what is called the cubital tunnel, which was putting pressure on my ulnar nerve. So it kind of freeze up that nerve so that nerve could floss a little bit better. So that's the issue I was having. It was causing numbness and stuff because it was catching on that tunnel after the break healed. There was some other latent issues that popped up after. So
well, the funny thing is in this episode they also dig an ulnar tunnel. So
they do. This is a pretty good episode. Yeah, I like this one. This is one of my favorite. This is probably one of my favorite later season episodes. Like I said, I'm not really a big fan of the later seasons, but this particular episode I really like. I like the anger management aspect of it, and it's not.
I was just impressed by your commitment, to get your arm worked on, just so we could mention the tunnel.
Yeah, no, that was it. That was all it was for.
Really
it was
good
just for the show. Yeah. Complete 100% dedication. Unnecessary surgery, but we got it done anyway.
Sure. Well, unnecessary surgery. All right. So we are dealing with season 7, episode 7, or in the year of our Lord 6 ABE 18, the Texas Skilsaw Massacre. This initially aired December 15th, 2002, directed by Sean Cashman and Clay Hall.
And actually, sorry to interrupt you, but Sean Cashman, one of the guys that we keeps eluding us for his interview because he keeps having issues come up. He actually has an interview with Sean Cashman, and I actually have Sean Cashman's email. So I'm going to reach out to Sean Cashman and see if we can get him on the show, actually. So
that's very nice.
There you go.
I look forward to that. It also written by, of course, Mike Judge, Greg Daniels, and Alan R. Cohen.
Alan Cohen. All right.
Alan Cohen. Hank is sentenced to attend an anger management class after accidentally sawing off Dale's finger. Now, I do have I've got a couple of questions for you as we go through this.
Yeah.
There's one voice in there, and I think the guy does two characters.
I could just run down the voices real fast if you want. I got the whole.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. The one I'm more concerned with is what is it? Big Jim.
Big Jim. Okay. Yeah. Well, from the top, you've got Barry, who is the anger management counselor, is voiced by what was he on? He's an alum of Mad TV, David Herman. Yeah. You got Big Jim. He's voiced by Phil Hendry.
Okay, so Phil Hendry, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, used to be a big radio guy in LA. And I think he plays Big Jim, and I believe he also plays the permit guy.
Yeah, he was a radio personality. You're right. He Phil Hendry,
big tall bald guy, right?
Yeah, big tall bald guy. He
was part of like a morning zoo kind of thing there.
Yeah, the morning zoo. Yeah. You said the city inspector. Is that who you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him. That's the two voices.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it was him in both those roles. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other voices are Chuck Mangione, which is voiced by Chuck Mangione.
That one is very good, by the way.
And then Octavio. The rumor always has been that Octavio is voiced by Danny Trejo, but
it's not
that's
him.
what everybody always says, but it's not. Octavio is voiced by Mike Judge. Sorry, I'm a little tongue-tied.
No, you're fine.
Medicine they have me on is pretty strong. State Judge is voiced by Toby Huss, and then Dee Dee is voiced by Ashley Gardner. And for those of you that don't know, Ashley Gardner is the one that went on to do the other what was it called? Do you remember the name of it? It was the
Good Family.
Good Family. That's what it was. Yeah, the other King of the Hill, because they have the Megalomart in that TV show.
They have Megalomart in Good Family?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. All right, so we are starting in the Hill House, and this is not something we often see. It is Hank in there preparing his own breakfast. He is standing over the stove.
Or maybe a mention of it. Maybe I think there might be a mention of it in that.
But he's standing over the stove, cooking some eggs, and he's trying to get a slice of American cheese, which we all know is wrapped in plastic, and sometimes a little hard to get out. And so he's trying to get the cheese. He's flopping it around, trying to get it on his eggs, and it finally flops out. It hits the counter. Then he balls up the cellophane that wraps up the cheese and tries to throw it across or tries to shoot like a jump shot into the trash can. Hey, that was a boneyard popped up there for a second.
There we go.
We know that on the plastic it's very flimsy, and so it takes a lot to try to push that across in the air. The air catches it, and it just falls to the ground. Now, he's getting a little perturbed by some of this.
Yeah,
but,
for
sure. He's not terrible yet. And while he's doing this, he is humming to himself and singing when the States go marching in. But his lyrics are, "Oh, when the Hank makes his eggs. Oh, when the Hank, that blah, blah, blah."
Yeah, I got a observation from Artie on the Artifacts sheet here. So the Artifact sheet, Artie noticed that if you recall, there's a callback to season 2, episode 13, Mr. Strickland's the snow job episode where I think he's got to take care of his dogs or something like that. But when he goes to his house, he notices that Mr. Strickland is cooking on an electric stove. In this opening scene, Hank is also cooking on an electric stove. So
he's cooking on an electric stove. We don't see the burn.
According to Artie, that's that. I'm going based on Artifacts, and he's been pretty on point with what he's
spot on. Yeah,
he's got,
he's pretty damn spot on. Hey, Rusty Shackelford is here. Artie is here. Mr. Z
Mr.
is
Z. That's a
here.
name I haven't seen before. Mr. Z.
Yeah. Welcome all. Welcome all. We
Yeah,
are doing it. If you didn't hear when we first came in, we're doing this because Rusty had a little surgery on his elbow this weekend. He's a little high, so we're having to take care of
I'm a
this
little loopy.
remotely.
F, Mary, kill Peggy, Luann, Nancy. I don't know. I'm gonna leave that one to your imagination.
It would be probably Nancy, Luann, Peggy. I would think.
I would probably. That's probably Luann's young, so
Luann's easier to marry
younger.
because she goes along with whatever.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to argue too much.
No, there's not much arguing. Yeah,
Not much. She can't cook though, so I don't know.
No, she can't cook.
I don't think any of them can cook.
Don't forget men.
Men would be all three. You would want to have sex with her. You'd want to kill her, and then you would also want to marry her. So I think men would be a little bit of all.
So he just kind of gets a little perturbed, but walks across to get the wrapper, and he falls right through the kitchen floor. Big old sinkhole opens up, and he falls right through. And he just he's down in this tunnel now. And when I say tunnel, I mean it looks like that drug tunnel that they uncovered between Mexico and Texas.
It looks like the Viet Cong tunneling underneath an American army
lights strung and everything. I mean, it is a real tunnel. And he's just like, what the? He says, oh, dang, cable company. I told him I didn't want a hole in my wall, and this is what I get. And he just starts crawling down the tunnel, which also is odd to me because it's a tunnel under your house.
Pretty awful.
What the hell is going on here? So next thing we see over in Dale's basement, he's got his turtle out, an actual turtle, and a bottle of
he's got a pet turtle. If y'all didn't know, he's a turtle
guy.
Got
a bottle of turtle wax. Squirts a little on there, gets the rotary sander or the polisher, gets it on there, and the turtle just spins and spins and spins and spins, and then he stops it. And then you start hearing like this rustling over in the corner. It pans over, and we see the Sanford and Son poster with Red Fox that says, I'm coming, Elizabeth, like he's having a heart attack. And something starts to kind of poke through, and then boop, out pops Hank.
It's almost a parody of the Shawshank Redemption.
Out pops Hank, and Dale screams. Hank screams. Dale looks at him and says, so you found the tunnel. I mean, that's it. That's his reaction to it. So you found it.
Which, sorry to interrupt you again. Already made a good observation. This is the second TV episode. This is the second episode in a row that there's been a Shawshank Redemption reference. So the crawling through the poster is a parody of a scene from Shawshank Redemption. And then also in the last episode that we covered, Peggy asked Bobby if he was feeding a wounded bird in his pocket, which is a reference to Shawshank again. So there you
go. I would assume this is right. I would assume this is right about that time, or after it. This is 2002. I don't know when Shawshank came out, but it's got to be
90 something, I believe.
It's got to be in like the public zeitgeist, just everybody's thinking about it or whatever.
Shawshank was 1994, so yeah, it was definitely in the zeitgeist. Oh wow, yeah. And you got to think though that Shawshank Redemption is always on like the top 10 list of best movies of all time. So.
Rusty says, "Good catch." Thanks, Rusty. Yeah. That's pretty much Artie and Rusty. All right. So next we see everybody staring down the hole that Hank fell through in the kitchen. And Bobby says, is this the hole you were talking about? Well, yeah, Bobby, it's the only hole in the floor. Yeah, that's
a funny hole in the floor story. Okay, so when I first moved here from England, the house that we lived in, it was the only house on one side of the street, but on the other side of the street was nothing but trailer houses. Well, there was a kid in the trailer park that his family, it was a rundown trailer, hole in the floor kind of thing. And it was the floor access. So as kids, we would crawl underneath his house and we would crawl up through the floor to get into the living room. And sometimes we would stand in the floor hole and we would play Super Mario.
Stand in the floor hole.
It wasn't my house, but it was a kid in the neighborhood's house. And we would stand in the floor hole and we would play. We weren't supposed to like be playing video games, and his mom didn't want company. So you'd crawl through the floor space and then you would stand up in the floor hole and play games. And if you heard his mom coming, you would duck down and tuck out underneath the house.
That's another shirt. I'm just standing in the floor hole.
Just standing in the floor, just the floor hole of life, Mike.
Floor hole of life. That's right.
What's up, Jordan? Jordan made it. Come
hey,
on
Jordan,
in.
what's up? All right. So Hank is a little perturbed, of course. Dale, what the hell were you thinking digging a tunnel under my house? You should be flattered. This is a two-way friendship tube. I don't like that phrase. I can escape. I can escape to your house when the feds come and knocking, and you can slip over to mine when some jealous husband comes looking for you. And then, of course, Peggy. There will always be husbands jealous of Hank for marrying me. There is no place on earth he can hide from him. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Check yourself there, Peggy. Hank says, no wonder I fell through. My floor joists are missing. So for anybody wanting to understand what a floor joist is, it's just the support beams underneath your floor.
Yeah, so he ruined the support of Hank's floor. So not only has he destroyed underneath his house, but he's also destroyed his actual house.
Yeah.
You can't win for losing with this guy.
No, you cannot. He is not a great friend. I would have ousted this guy a long time ago.
Yeah, destroying my floor, doing thousands of dollars worth of damage to my floor. I think that would be and
then he's a real turd about it too afterwards.
Yeah, definitely.
He says, so my floor joists are missing. He said, what? Oh, is that what that was? I thought it was underground driftwood. I used it to reinforce the walls.
What is that?
I don't know.
He's just making stuff up now.
I used it to reinforce the walls of my tunnel. You want me digging in an unsafe tunnel? Did you, Hank? I mean, to turn it back on Hank as fast as he did is pretty amazing.
Indicative, though. It's definitely what he does.
Hank says, oh, it's going to take a lot of hard work to repair this floor. And since it's all your fault, mister, talking to Dale, I'm not going to let you help. And then it shows like a sad Dale. He's got like a sad face because he can't help. Bobby says, can I help? He goes, yes, Bobby, looking right at Dale. Mr. Z, will they ever make a prequel to King of the Hill like when they were in high school? That would be fun. I would enjoy that.
That would be cool. They do a lot of flashbacks, so it would be cool if somebody could compile, like if there was like a compilation of all the flashbacks from when they were in high school and pieced it together in a chronological order. Maybe that would be, I think, the closest that we'll ever get to a prequel. It would be somebody with the nerd power to do that. I don't have the bandwidth for that, but I'm sure there's somebody out there. I bet if you looked, it's probably already something out there maybe like that.
Oh, I would imagine.
Yeah.
All right. So the next scene we go to, we're in Hank's backyard with Bobby, Boomhauer, and Bill. There's sawhorses out. There's big pieces of wood out. There's all the tools and everything out there, and they're getting ready to start trying to fix this thing. He says it'd be cool to see Cotton Hill back in the day.
There's
I agree.
A couple of flashback episodes where you could see Cotton Hill in action. There's a couple of the war flashbacks where he's
but to see him as like a young father would be kind of cool.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of flashbacks of that, like when he takes him to the cattle farm to see the.
Well, I think we get one where. Yeah, and I think we get one where he's got knees at some point, don't we? Don't we see him before his shins are gone?
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. I'm pretty sure there
might be one where we see him with his full legs. Anyway, they're all standing around getting ready. Dale is just peering over the fence. You hear Bill. He says, "I fall through the floor. I'd say an average about once a year." Okay. Hey, Stoner. Yeah, we've been doing.
There is a KOTH podcast. We've been doing. Like Mike said, we've been doing this for 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, we're season 7, episode 7. Welcome. You got some catching up to do. All right. So he says, I'd say I fall through the floor on average about once a year. That sounds low for Bill. You would think that he would fall through the floor a lot more.
Thanks for the sub, man. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you could get the notification for when we go live and post new videos. Appreciate that, Stoner.
There you go. Artie says he has legs when he flashes back to his escape stories. Perfect. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, he's got to have legs in those, because if he flashed back and he only had shins, it would be more of a nightmare for him than it would be.
It's true.
An actual flashback, because I'm pretty sure not having shins in the middle of World War II would be absolutely detrimental.
Mr. Z says Bill is Bobby's father. Hank says, so fellas, I rented a brand new 6,000 RPM high torque circular saw. Boomhauer, how'd you like to cut some wood? Oh man, you asked me, man, dang old And he just, I mean, he's ready.
Yeah,
he's
he's
ready
rambling,
to cut wood anytime. Yeah. Bill, you can be next, and then me, Bobby, and that's it. But oh no, wait. Hey, Con, you want to try my new saw? And we never see Con, but you hear Con say, "How many RPM?" He says 6,000. He goes, "Nah." I mean, what does it have to be? 6,001? So a white car pulls up into the driveway there, and guy gets out with a clipboard. This is the first time with the guy you said, the longtime radio guy.
Yeah, Phil Hendry.
Phil Henry. Yeah.
Phil Hendry.
Hank says, oh, here comes the city inspector. Bobby, get inside. I'm not sure what that was about. I'm not real sure why he had to get inside, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy to say
that.
That.
Guy comes up and says, are you the owner? He goes, yes, sir. Hank R. Hill, just like it said on my application for a building permit. Did you get my check for $6? He says, yeah, along with a transcript of your grades from high school shop class. Quite impressive.
Yeah, that's funny.
Then you see Boomhauer and Bill, they've taken a piece of wood and fashioned a seesaw that they are currently seesawing on. Yeah. And the guy looks over at him and he says to Hank, I admire you for hiring the mentally challenged. That's pretty damn good.
That is funny, yeah.
Now we go to the kitchen, and the inspector is looking at the hole. He goes, Mr. Hill, you have a serious problem here. Without any floor joists, this house is unsafe to inhabit. Hank says, what if we just stay out of the kitchen? I got a fridge in the garage, propane gear rail. Oh, good. Problem solved. He's just really trying to get past this thing because Hank knows. The inspector says, do I look like some jackass from Power and Light? No, sir. And I ain't going back there either. And then the next thing we see is they're coming out of Hank's front door. The guy has put a big red unsafe do not occupy sticker on the front door. And so legally, Hank is not allowed to occupy it until everything's fixed. Hank freaks out over the red tag a little bit. Red tag? No. Green tag. The inspector says you need to evacuate the domicile immediately. Bill says, when can he move back in? As Bill is wheeled up in a wheelbarrow by Boomhauer. The guy leans down to Bill and says, when all the repairs have been made, like he's a little kid or something.
I gotta answer a quick question here. So yeah. Mr. Z said if Boomhauer is a cop at the end of the series, okay, he's not just any cop. So what you're referring to there is a local cop knocked his taillight out, and a local cop tried to bang Hank, True. Maybe even a highway patrolman. He was a detective, because that is what the Texas Rangers do. It's mostly they mostly just do detective work.
Ranger detective, yeah.
So he's a Texas Ranger, and in Texas, the capacity in which they work in is they don't act like local law enforcement. They don't do high-speed chases. They don't do minor traffic stops for speeding. They only investigate major crimes and generally working hand in hand with the FBI on stuff. But if a corrupt government, say if you have a corrupt city government, they come in and they do the investigation on stuff. They'll come and investigate it, whatever complaints are being made with the city government, whatever complaints are being made with local cops, even state department police officers. If they have internal issues, they get they're just the overall encompassing detective unit for the state of Texas.
There you go. He's talking to Bill like he's a little child, and he's like, would you boys like a piece of hard candy? Bill, of course, is like, yes, I'd like a piece of hard candy. He looks at Hank and says, the inspector looks at Hank and says, I'd like to see these men in helmets. Now later we're out by Hank's truck. And
I think it's funny that he thinks they're all like special needs kids.
It is. Well, they might be.
Well, Bill for sure. I don't think they were born that way, but he has post-alcohol fetal syndrome.
Mr. Z, you are not disrailing the show. We love this. We would love to have all the comments we can possibly get. So please,
the more interaction, the better for us. We don't
strap in and ask questions. We're good. Okay, so he says now we're out by the truck, by Hank's truck, and they are kind of packing up to get out of the house because he knows that they can't stay there, and by God, they're not going to break the law.
No, definitely not. He's not going to handle that.
Bobby says, I don't mind us staying at Grandpa's, but I won't share a bed with baby GH. He always tries to suck on my boobies.
Whoa.
Up walks Nancy and Dale. And Nancy says, Hank, Peggy, Dale has something he wants to ask you. And Dale's just like, she goes, shug. He says, look, Hank, I dug a tunnel. You fell through it. Mistakes are made on both sides. What do you say you and yours come and stay with me and mine? You can take the tunnel over. He goes, thank you, but we're being taken in by family. Peggy says, Hank, come on. He says, Dale drives me nuts living next door. There's a reason he and I didn't get an apartment together after high school. Peggy, last time I stayed at your father's, he threw a grenade at me. It was a practice grenade, but still, it was a very hostile gesture.
Hank says, I got a quick fun fact.
Yeah.
So when I was in ROTC in high school, the ROTC commander, he was a commander in the United States Navy, but he had this ceramic grenade, like a shell of a ceramic grenade that sat on his desk, and it had a Japanese flag and an American flag on it. And I would always just be curious. And 4 years in his class, I didn't think to ask him until like the end of my senior year, like, well, what is that about? And he said, at one point, the Japanese government was arming men, women, and children with these ceramic grenades because they were expecting a land invasion. And in the land invasion, everybody has fealty to the emperor. So whatever, like, it would have been a man, woman, and child kind of effort in Japan. So they started arming them with these ceramic grenades. But after the war, they had collected a bunch of them and cleaned them up. And it was, and they, they did like a commemorative thing with them where they were handing them out as a like, oh, this is like a sign of good faith kind of thing. So, there you go. A little fun grenade Japan fact.
Love some good grenade facts.
Yeah, there you go. That's for the short, for the short clips.
Sure.
Rest in peace, TikTok, for the next maybe
12 hours.
Today? Yeah, the next 12, 14 hours.
Yeah. Hank says, all right. He kind of gives up and he says, thanks, Dale. We'll do it. Later on, we see Hank and Peggy on the pull-out couch. They are going to bed. Bobby is at the end of the pull-out couch, and he says, strange bathroom, no nightlight. I hope Mr. Gribble isn't counting on 100% accuracy. And then Peggy says one of the weirdest things, because I had to think about it for a second. She goes, well, sit if you have to. I do when I have to. So there are times when Peggy's standing up peeing.
I hope not. She's a big pooper, though, apparently.
Well, it is, because that comes up here in just a second. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, now it's middle of the night. They're asleep. We see the light kind of start wash over Hank's face. It's from the TV. We hear the TV say, he's going for $100. And then there's Dale sitting on the end of the pullout in his tidy whities and his hat, smoking a cigarette, watching TV like in the middle of the night. Hank kind of wakes up. He's very drowsy. He's like, Dale, what do you think you're doing? Oh, Nancy won't let me watch TV in the bedroom. It keeps her up. You got to see this. They got a guy swallowing bees for $100. Early days of what's his face? Who's the guy that did Fear Factor?
Oh, Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Early Joe Rogan days, swallowing bees for $100.
Which also there was a funny episode where, if anybody knows about Joe Rogan, he's actually like he really is a martial artist. Like he's actually a skilled, trained fighter. He never fought, obviously, in the MMA, but he is an actual jiu-jitsu guy. And there was a guy that was trying to fight Joe Rogan on the Fear Factor show, and Joe Rogan was just standing there like, do you not know like my background? Like I'll kick a hole right in your chest, dude. Like, yeah,
he's a big dude now. He didn't used to be that big, but he's big.
Yeah, I hear Joe has a podcast too, but he couldn't create the buzz as big as ours.
Oh, haven't heard about that one. Yeah, and so he says Nancy won't let me watch it. He goes, dang it, Dale, it's after 10 o'clock. He picks up the remote to turn off the TV, and he goes, Hank, you don't want to use that remote. He clicks the remote, and we hear an explosion outside. He goes, there goes the mailbox. You had an exploding mailbox? That was your mailbox. And yes, I do. I mean, that's the first time Hank gets a little pissed. We see his face.
Yeah, he's a little pissed. I don't really blame him because, once again, one of his friends from high school that he's been friends with into adulthood has cost him time and money. And not only did he cost him time and money, he cost him time and money on his own home now.
Twice in 2 days.
Yeah, twice in 2 days at that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now we go to the next morning. We're in Nancy and Dale's kitchen, and everybody is just crowded around the kitchen table there. Nancy is serving breakfast, and for Nancy to serve breakfast, it means frozen waffles. So we're eating a lot of the I would imagine Megalomart version of Eggos,
and it's probably like, you know, $10 for 30 of them kind of thing.
Sure.
It's probably like the only way to get any flavor out of it is put it on some of the Megalomart maple syrup on it, you know.
I could actually go for some waffles. That wouldn't be bad
I
at
could
all.
go for some waffles, and I don't mind frozen waffles. Don't
I
get me
don't either.
wrong. I'm not hating on frozen waffles, but there are certain brands of frozen waffles that no matter how much you cook it or what you do to it, if you do not put butter and syrup on it, it'll be like eating a flat piece of cardboard that's been pressed into a shape of a waffle.
I love the pancakes on a stick, you know, with the pancake and the sausage in the middle.
I absolutely I'll agree with you on that one. I like pancakes on a stick because it's like a breakfast corn dog.
It is, but they make one, and I looked around trying to find it because I was excited about it. It was French toast on a stick with the sausage in it, so it's the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Those are terrible. They're awful. They're very thick and they are gross. I don't like them at all. But pancakes on a stick, Rusty Shackelford in the comments. Not yuck on a stick, yum on a stick. Very, very good stuff. All right, so they are all jammed around there. Nancy's serving up her frozen waffle. She goes, "Oh my goodness, it's like my own little diner in here." Bobby looks at his frozen waffle and it's kind of still hard, and he goes under his breath, "Well, somebody's not getting a tip." Hank just looks terrible. He looks exhausted. He looks at Peggy and goes, "I'm exhausted." Wakes me up to spot him while he lifts weights. Peggy, the man can only bench 35 pounds.
Imagine being woke up out of your sleep to go spot a guy that can only lift 35 pounds off his chest.
35 pounds.
I'd be pretty pissed too, Hank.
It's like a bag of dog food. Dale is standing over, kind of leaning up against the cabinets there, flossing his teeth right there in the middle of the kitchen while everybody eats. Pulls out a big chunk and he goes, "Wow, look at that chunk." Hank's just like, "Oh." And then Dale hands Hank a piece of paper. Looks like a receipt. He goes, "What is this?" He goes, "You're welcome to sleep here free of charge, but consumables are another matter. You'll see it's all listed here. Water, electricity, 2 rolls of toilet paper." Looks at Peggy, and Peggy looks all sheepish like, "Oh no, now they know I use so much toilet paper."
Yeah.
Hank says, "I've had enough of you, Dale. I'll finish my shredded wheat out at the construction site." Of course he eats shredded wheat. Of course.
Ew. Another cardboard-like cereal.
That's what my grandfather would eat, the shredded wheat, but it was just the one big brick.
Oh, we have those in England. My mom likes them. They're called Weetabix, is what they call them in England, and you could get them in the United States because they're manufactured in Canada. And I actually like them. You put a little sugar on them, and it's just like it's pretty good. But it's got to have sugar, otherwise.
Oh, sure,
good. I used to eat them a lot as a kid.
He didn't put sugar on his. He would just put it in there and put a little milk on it and just start cracking it up and eating it.
Yeah, that's good.
But this is the man that would take a bite out of an onion like an apple too. So
yeah, my dad used to do that. He doesn't do that anymore. He's got dentures now, so I don't really let him bite into it as easy. But when I was a kid,
boiled onion.
Yeah, boiled onion. He had an onion. My dad had he would have an onion with everything. Every meal he ate, and there would be at least half of an onion or a quarter of an onion with lunch, dinner. Every dinner, at least a half an onion. Like, I don't know how anybody could eat half an onion like that, but yeah, he did it.
As Hank leaves, Dale screams at him, "I want that bowl back." Now we're over back at Hank's backyard. Bill and Boomhauer are there, and all 3 of them are wearing goggles and helmets and all that, just like the inspector asked. Dale kind of wanders over as they're getting started. Vidalia onions are sweet enough to eat like an apple. Yeah, they are, Artie. That's true. Still not going to eat one like an apple, though. Dale wanders over and says, "Hank, did you use the towels that were hanging in the bathroom? Those are just for decoration. Now they're ruined." Hank says, "Dale, those were paper towels." So he's got paper towels hanging on his towel rack. Hank looks at Dale as he starts to saw, or he starts sawing, and he's just kind of he's looking away, he's looking back, and Dale continues to talk. He says, and tell your wife to answer the phone, Gribble residence, not hello. And then he starts looking at what Hank's doing on sawing, and he says, hey, you're not cutting that board very straight. Aren't you supposed to be inside the lines? You're outside the lines, see? And he points at it. We don't see it, but we hear zzz, and then Hank looks down and says, oh, no. Oh, my God. And then everybody just gasps. Dale screams. We look down. He holds his hand up. His finger is gone like that, right?
Gone.
It's
Yeah,
just
it's
missing.
like a joke, the take the finger off kind of joke.
And then we look down at the saw. There's his finger still wrapped around his cigarette, just laying there on top of the thing.
Yeah.
And that is going to be our first commercial break. We will
Before
take that.
you go to commercial, we had a question. What part of Texas do we reckon Arlen is located in? Well,
Belton.
if you go back into our archives and look at the other episodes, we've discussed this at length in more than one episode. But a specific episode, we discussed the entire geography of the show. We think it's in Central Texas, somewhere in between Dallas and Austin. Is about the big geographical radius.
It could be about where we're
around, probably about where we're at, where we record our show from. So
yeah, pretty much.
But I do know that it's near Durndal and McManorberry, wherever.
That's what blah 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 says. Yeah. Welcome, blah blah.
Welcome.
All right, that is our first commercial break. We'll take that, and we will be right back.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Join the Daily High Club, the premier destination for glass water pipes, vaporizers, and accessories. Since 2015, we've sold over 1 million quality products and teamed up with legends like Snoop Dogg and Tommy Chong. Ready to elevate your smoking game? Visit dailyhighclub.com for our El Primo subscription box or shop unique pieces today.
And we are back.
And we are back. So he said he thinks it's near Waco, and that's exactly where we think it is too.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's probably around Belton, something like that. All right. So we start at the Heimlich County Medical Center. We're in the waiting room with Bill, Hank, and Boomhauer, and they are standing over to the side with their that's coming up, Mr. Z. They're standing over there with their little paper cups instead of their beer. And Hank says, oh, I can't believe I cut off my best friend's finger. And I just reread that safety manual. Bill says, I don't understand how this could have happened, Hank. I mean, I've been known to do carpentry stone drunk, but you're normally so careful around tools. Dale pops out. He's being pushed in a wheelchair. Yep. He has a large cast on his arm. Which
lost his finger, though.
But it includes his finger pointed like this, just like a gun. You know, it's like the index finger is just pointed out and the rest of it's casted all the way down. Look
at the coloration of my hands.
Look at them.
That's the surgery hand. That's the non-surgery hand. And now it's gun fingers.
There you go. There you go. It is really odd, though, that you just had that done and this is about somebody getting their finger cut off and stuff. It's very close.
It is kind of punctual, yeah.
So as he says, you're so careful around tools, Dale pops out from the back being wheeled around by a nurse. And he goes, hey, was careful. All right. Careful to make it look like an accident. And then he has the best part of this is his wheelchair has a little stand to put his cigarette on just so he can lean down and suck and put a little bit of his cigarette. He says, you were getting back at me for what I did to your tacky linoleum floor. Hank said, oops, sorry about that. Hank says, this is not true. I should have never moved in with you. And then we see the cop standing over to the side, and the nurse is talking to the cop, and the nurse says, I think we might have a domestic abuse situation here. The big one's already cut the little one's finger off. The cop says, as always happens to the younger, prettier ones. Dale is younger, prettier?
I don't know. I would think that him being a heavy smoker, he would probably have worse skin than Hank. So
you would absolutely think that.
I would figure if you have a live, we're talking live action, not cartoon, because obviously the cartoon's faces are all smooth. But if they were live action, I always have pictured Dale just a little bit more weary, from he doesn't sleep very well,
like crow's feet and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy that stays up all night and then gets up early and has to go to work in the morning. He still gets up and goes to work, but he stays up real late. So I feel like he doesn't get very much sleep. He doesn't hydrate very well. He drinks 55 gallons of Mountain Dew, and he's got the vats of Mountain Dew in his
but then you also think about all those chemicals he sprays.
Yeah, the chemicals that he deals with. Yeah,
that guy's gonna look like he's 90.
Yeah, he's gotta look rough. He's gotta look more rough than Hank, I would think.
The cop says it always happens to the younger, prettier ones, and then you hear Dale, if it were up to you, you would have filled my buddy tunnel with cement so no one else could use it. That is an odd phrase. You would have filled my buddy tunnel. The cop says, sir, do you wish to press charges, assault charges? Hank's like, assault charges? He goes, damn right I do, officer. Take him away and see that his human rights are roundly violated. Now we go over to the Heimlich County Courthouse. This is obviously the next day. I can't imagine that justice is this swift, but let's just say it is. The judge is up there, and he says, Mr. Hill, Mr. Gribble alleges that you intentionally severed his finger. Hank says, Your Honor, it was an accident. We're wasting valuable legal resources here. Dale, of course, sitting over on the prosecution table with Octavio sitting beside him for some reason. He says, objection, conjecture, objection. Hank says, that's not even a word.
Not even a word.
Judge says, Mr. Hill, please control your outburst. I'm issuing a restraining order. You are not allowed to go within 100 feet of Mr. Gribble. Hank says, what? This is crazy. I live within 100 feet of him. How am I going to fix the house that he ruined? The judge said, you seem to have a serious problem controlling your rage. I'm sentencing you to an anger management class until you pass the restraining order. It remains in effect. Hank says, anger management? That's for guys who spit on umpires. I don't need that class. Speaking of people that spit on umpires, Bob Uecker died this week. And I think that's kind of a veiled reference to about that time when Bob Uecker was a big baseball manager. It's Mr. Z says Twig Boy should have made another appearance in this episode as a caseworker. He does make an appearance here in just a minute. Yeah. Anyway, the judge bangs his gavel and says, if you ever want to go back in that house, you need to finish that class. And so we go. Now we got Hank.
We got Hank in therapy here.
Yep. He's going to go to therapy. He's going to go to anger management class.
Which I think the whole funny part, like I know it's a little further on, but I think the whole funny part about this is Hank doesn't really need therapy.
No, he doesn't.
He just needs less idiots in his life.
But like anything else with King of the Hill, it is a two-sided coin, right? And so Hank does kind of get to where he sees how he could control some of this stuff. Because it does impact him pretty hard here in just a minute. All right, so we're back in the alley. You got Dale, Bill, and Boomhauer standing in front of Dale's fence, and then 100-foot measuring tape on the ground so that Hank is standing in front of his fence 100 feet away. They want to make sure they've got it at 100 feet.
Yeah.
Dale is over there trying to light his cigarette, and Bill says, Dale, you're lighting your finger. Oh, thanks for the heads up. I still can't feel anything in that digit. Hank, from 100 feet away, yells down, what's that? And Bill yells down, Dale has no feeling in the finger you cut off. Hank says, accidentally. If you want, Bill, Boomhauer, one of you guys can come over here and stand by me. Bill says, I'll wait until you pass that anger class. You cut off Dale's finger for digging a tunnel. I once made a vest out of your wife's underpants. I can't imagine what you do to me. A vest out of her underpants, Rusty. I don't know. That is a little too far as I'm concerned.
It's a little far.
How'd he get them? Number one.
Yeah.
He had to make it. Number two. And number three, he put it on and people saw it. All right.
There's a lot of risque lines in this show for sure.
There are a few risque lines in this. Hank says, "Come on, I wouldn't hurt you. You guys know I don't have a problem with anger. I have a problem with idiots." Dale points at him with that stupid pointed cast, like that. And he goes, "Hold it right there. One more step, and you'll have to move to a similar house a few blocks away. Not too pretty a picture, is it?" Hank's just like, "Dang it!" He kicks that measuring tape. Well, that causes the measuring tape to recoil, and it starts going, and it hits poor Bill right in the nuts. And Dale says, "Oh, God, he's on another rampage. Pray for us all." Man, poor Hank.
Hank got to go through it. He's got to go through it.
He really does have the worst friends,
Tough, yeah. And you know what the thing I found the toughest about this episode is generally it's Bill and Dale that are the idiots by themselves. But the thing that gave this the troubling for me is that Boomhauer goes along with all of it. Like he's a part of the whole, rigmarole.
Artie says this episode is dirtier than the one with the cuffs and collars porn movie that Hank didn't return. All right, so now we're at Staubach Elementary. If you guys don't know who Staubach is, Roger Staubach, who was the quarterback of the Cowboys during some of the Super Bowl years, 70s, 80s. This is at nighttime, which I thought was really weird. But it says anger management class out on the the sign. The instructor is up at the front, and you said the instructor is played by David Herman?
Yeah, David Herman, yeah.
Okay.
You said the instructor, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I just want to make sure. The instructor, Barry, the anger management counselor. Yeah, it's David Herman, yeah.
Okay. David Herman, you can find him. He was on Mad TV for a long time, and he does a ton of voices in this show. The instructor says, "Let's give a nice, calm anger management welcome to Hank Hill, our newest student." And then you hear them all just kind of, yeah, that's right, Artie, it's Barry.
Yeah, Barry's.
He goes, "Hank cut off his neighbor's finger with a saw in a fit of rage." Hank's like, no, it was an accident. My neighbor put his finger in front of the blade. Barry says, "Hank, my man, that's what we call blaming others. It's not my fault his finger was there. It's not my fault I ran a woman off the road when she changed lanes without signaling. Right, Big Jim?" Now, in the back, you have, he plays Mr. Frond on Bob's Burgers.
Okay.
That's interesting.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah.
So you've got this larger bald guy sitting next to Hank in the very back of the class. They both have their arms crossed, like as in, "I'm not paying attention to you. I don't want to be here," kind of move. And Big Jim looks at Barry and says, "She had a cell phone in one hand and a Land's End catalog in the other. Dirtbag got what she deserves." The instructor, that's a little rough. The instructor says, "Next time you want to call somebody a dirtbag, stop and picture the person as a big bag of dirt. Just a big old bag of dirt driving her SUV. And you know what? You'll have to pull over because you'll have the giggles." That's what we call silly humor. And he writes it on the board. He goes, "Hank, you're not laughing." Hank says, "At a bag of dirt? What's funny about that?" Instructor says, "Wow, you are just a bundle of rage. My goodness, if you become any angrier in this peaceful environment, you're on your way to a massive heart attack or stroke." Hank says, "I'm not angry. I'm just a little annoyed to have to be stuck in this stupid class for the next 8 Saturdays. 8 weeks. He's got to go for 8 weeks.
Ooh, that's 8 full Saturdays. That's crazy.
The 8 Saturdays does explain something here in a minute, and that is when we finally get back to Dale, he doesn't have a cast on his hand anymore. And so I'm assuming that 8 weeks it healed. That seems like a very short amount of time to sew your finger back on. But so he says, "I got to be in here the next 8 Saturdays." He looks and both him and Big Jim nod at each other. And the instructor says, "Why don't you pet an imaginary cat just like this?" And he holds it up and just starts petting this invisible cat. He goes, "Slow and gentle and easy. I call her Soothie. Soothie the kitty. You want to pet her?" He says, "I'll pass." He goes, "Come on, Mr. Mellow Puss." Big Jim says, he says he doesn't want to pet the freaking invisible cat. Leave him alone. Hank just looks at him and he's like, "Oh, thanks, buddy." All right, so now we're at the Casa Linda apartments, and we know that Cotton, Dee Dee, and GH live here.
Hold on. I'm getting a transmission in my ear here.
Go for it.
Apparently, Trump has saved TikTok. And if you like TikTok, TikTok is now already back available again, which might be one of the biggest melodramas in American digital history.
It was an absolutely nothing burger. It was about 12 hours. It was down.
Yeah, it was
now
crazy. It's crazy. That's nuts.
So we're at Casa Linda, and they're all cramped around the dinner table in the small little apartment that Cotton, Dee Dee, and GH live in. Hank is still pissed off, and he's like, then they tell me somebody does something stupid. I'm supposed to think of a calming phrase like, relax, Mr. Angry Slacks, or cool it down, Grumpy Clown. You see, it's asinine. Peggy says, take it easy, Parcheesi. Well, that sounds like Peggy. That is exactly the kind of anger that leads you to cutting people's fingers off.
I hate that so much. That Parcheesi, that's such a corn-ass line.
Take it easy, Parcheesi. Hank says, Peggy, you of all people know that I didn't do that on purpose. She goes, well, Hank, now I wasn't there. So she doesn't know that, and she doesn't immediately take Hank's side.
Yeah.
She goes, now, isn't it possible that somewhere in your subconscious you really wanted to hurt Dale? He goes, no, it's not possible. Dee Dee says, Hank has always been angry. When we were in kindergarten and the other children would use the finger paints, he would pinch them. Hank just looks at her, and I've never seen him react to Dee Dee like this, but he looks at her and he goes, you are a bald-faced liar. I mean, he is mad. He's pissed off now. And then Cotton looks at it, and this is the only line Cotton has in the entire show. He goes, amen. That's it.
There you go. Amen.
Line. All right, so we're back at Staubach Elementary. It is daytime now. The instructor is at the front of the class. He's got a big cardboard box full of stuffed animals that we never see really come out. But then on the board, written behind him, is the Avoid Dance. So the Avoid Dance written on the board. And he says, now, I'm going to teach you all a little dance, the Avoid Dance. Who has a child who keeps a messy room? Huh? Looks around the room, and all these people raise their hands. He goes, next time you walk by Junior's messy room, just shut the door. Don't look at what infuriates you. Just do this little dance. Shut the door, shut the door, shut the door. And then they all kind of start waving their hands along with him and stuff and saying, shut the door. He goes, Big Jim, is there a reason you're not shutting the door? Because you're a pencil neck who's got diarrhea of the mouth. This guy's pissed. This guy's pissed off all the time.
Yeah, always pissed off. Angry guy.
Instructor says, okay, anger, try silly humor. Can you picture poo-poo coming out of my mouth? Poo-poo.
Whoa. My mouth. That wouldn't even be funny. That'd be gross. That's not a joke. Yeah.
He says, no, but I can picture it coming out of my butt. Can I have a hall pass? He says, of course. He gets up and leaves. Hank gets up and says, I think I have to make two. Excuse me. So the next thing we see is they're both outside standing by Hank's truck. They've just had enough of this class. And he says, Big Jim, can you believe that bunk he's selling? Don't you ever get angry? You turn into the world's doormat. Read your Bible. God has a hell of a temper. You piss him off, you're up to your ass in locusts. Look at him the wrong way, pillar of salt. He's one tough, two-fisted gin joint bouncer, and he made us in his image. Hank says, that's the first thing I've heard today that's made any sense. So Hank is being fed some anger here. Big Jim definitely not.
Big Jim's a true angry person. Hank's just mad at idiots.
Big Jim is not what Hank needs at the moment. Hello, Pill Gillis. Thank you for being here. He says, now we're both out at the truck again, like I said, and he says, that's the first thing that's made any sense. He goes, I know one thing, that twig boy, there you go, Mr. Z, can't flunk us for being constipated for an hour. Let's grab a beer. Hank says, thanks, but I need to spend my spare time repairing my house before my idiot neighbor gets home. He goes, I build dollhouse furniture for a living. Maybe I can help. Okay, that seems like a one-to-one.
That just seems like, it's really funny that's his job that's like his thing is building dollhouse furniture. And he's such an angry person. You would think there would be like a certain level of zen in building things.
There's got to be some therapy there. Yeah.
Like there's some therapeutic kind of thing, some cathartic type situation. But the fact that he doesn't get any like peace out of that is crazy to me.
So now we're at Hank's in the driveway. Big Jim is there to help. Up walks Dale, Bill, Boomhauer, and Octavio, and they have this big old post hole digger with them. He stands at the end of the driveway and he looks at Hank and he says, Hank Rutherford Hill, you are within 100 feet of me. And as much as I like to scoff at the law, I also like to arbitrarily enforce it. Skedaddle, boy. I mean, he called him boy. We got a tunnel to dig under the alley. Hank's like, what? Bill says,
now they're taking it to the next level.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Bill said, just unfettered access to tools is not what this guy needs. Artie says maybe the dollhouse thing is family business and he hates it. That's a very good one. Bill says, yeah, it's going to go from Dale's house to my house to Boomhauer's house. Like he's excited about having a stupid tunnel under there.
Yeah.
Mr. Z says that Bob Ross was an angry SOB. I don't know if he was or not, but it's a nice picture to make in your head.
That is a nice picture, unlike the turd mouth image here.
Talking about the tunnel, Dale says little three-way friendship tube, and you ain't invited. Bill says the only rules are no spitting and no cutting other people's fingers off. You probably wouldn't like it down there, Hank. Boomhauer says, yeah, man, talking about ain't no dang old psychos allowed, man.
Oh, come on, Boomhauer. You can't say that.
It's crazy.
That's so weird. Boomhauer's lining up with them. That's what I don't
That's
really
what I'm
like.
saying. It's so crazy how they feed off of each other like this. Hank says, good God, you're serious? This alley is city property. As block captain, I will come down on you with the full authority of my office. And who the hell are you? And he points at Octavio. I thought we had seen Octavio before, but maybe not. Dale says, Hank, you know Octavio. He's my gal Friday. Does anything I want. Now you scoot 100 feet. Move it. Talking to Hank this way. And that normally that's a way to get your ass kicked, Dale. Octavio says, he says, you shut your goddamn mouth or I'll shove that ditch witch down your throat and dig a tunnel straight through the sunshine.
Whoa.
That's a great phrase.
It's a good line. I like that one.
Big Jim.
Have you ever operated a ditch witch?
I've never operated a ditch witch. I've operated like a mechanical post hole digger.
Yeah, it's like sitting on the back of a raging bull.
Yeah. I would imagine. Big Jim is like, that's telling him. Hank's like, it felt good too. Then Dale says, back off, Hank, or Octavio will mess you up. Now, the only line we get out of Octavio is, Gribble, I don't care if he stays or goes. Where's the money you owe me, SA? And Dale just goes, you heard him, like he said something about it. Yeah, it's kind of like operating a jackhammer, says Mr. G. Then here's our big scene with Big Jim. Take the first shot, Cochise. I love two things, building dollhouse furniture and kicking ass. And I don't see no dollhouses around here. You see any dollhouses, Hank? He goes, no, I don't. He said, no, you don't. That's right. And what are you looking at, sport? Don't you eyeball me. Don't you eyeball a junkyard dog. And he starts barking at him. Now you got the dog barking. Look, you got it. You got it. And then.
Yeah, I did the crazy barking.
Veins coming out of his head. He's worked up. He gets red. He goes, and he just falls over.
And that's
falls over. And that is our second commercial break. We will take that and we will be
right back.
There it is.
Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. The app is simple. Pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Download the Prize Picks Daily Fantasy Sports app today and use code FIELD and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code FIELD on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
ABC Wednesdays. Tim Allen and Kat Dennings star in the new family comedy Shifting Gears.
Dad, I'm broke and I need a place to stay until I figure out what the rest of my life looks like.
So, a couple of days.
When his daughter moves back in.
The last time you walked out that door, you looked back at me and gave me a double bird.
I was 18. The double bird was how I ended all our conversations.
The wheels come off.
Can we try to talk to each other like rational adults?
Have you watched the news lately? That's not a thing anymore.
New Wednesdays, 8, 7 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu.
All right, and here we
All
are.
right.
We are now at a funeral.
Yeah.
Big Jim has fallen over dead. He got so angry he stroked out. We are at Cahoon and Saunders Funeral Home. Now, I thought it was Calhoun, but it's actually spelled Cahoune. So that's Cahoon and Saunders Funeral Home.
Cajones.
I wonder if Cahoon and Saunders are people that work on the show.
Maybe
You know?
It might be. I don't know. There'd be
It very well
a
could be.
research project.
Kind of like in Deadpool. There's a scene in Deadpool where he and Wolverine start coming towards the camera to go to all of the fake Deadpools, the other Deadpools, and behind it is a sign on a shop that says Liefeld's Just Feet. Now, Rob Liefeld is the guy who invented Deadpool, first guy who came up with it, and he always had a problem drawing feet. And so they were making fun of the artist on this sign behind them. And so this is kind of the way I feel about this Cahoon and Saunders.
Yeah,
so
I couldn't find anything about it on a quick Google search, but if anybody else wants to dig a little deeper, yeah.
So he and Peggy are standing in line at the funeral to go up and view the body, which I've always thought is just such a weird thing to do. Hank says paramedics said he got so worked up he just stroked out.
Yeah, Peggy, I got a quick rundown of deaths.
Yeah.
So in the series so far, there's been 5 deaths, including Big Jim. So you've got Buckley dies, then you have the fire chief or the fireman Chet Elderson, he dies, and then you have the 2-episode back-to-back episodes about Debbie dying, and then Papacito, he dies. So now you've got those 4 deaths, and then now you've got Big Jim's death here with his heart exploding. So that's
for a cartoon. That is a lot of death.
That's death.
That's a lot of death for a cartoon.
Definitely dying. They're definitely dying here. Yeah.
Debbie one was great though. Her in a dumpster is fantastic.
One of my favorite actual episodes of surrounding death is the Cotton Hill.
That is so good when he gets up on the hibachi.
Yeah.
All right. So they are standing in line. Hank has just explained to Peggy that Big Jim stroked out. She goes, "It was a short period of suffering, but it was probably pretty intense." What? Okay. They look in the casket. And Big Jim is laying there, and he is still pissed. Like his face is still all like he's just angry. And she goes, "Hank, that's exactly what you look like when you sleep." That's bad. That's bad news right there. Bad news.
That is bad news.
Hank now has a little flashback, and Mr. Z, this is kind of what I was talking about with the Twig Boy thing. He has a flashback of all the times that we've seen him get angry, starting with Twig Boy. Then it goes to the guy who dug the artifact tunnel thing out in his yard. It went to just any time it went to him kicking Jimmy Witchert's ass. It just one thing after another thing after another, punching, kicking, screaming. No more bouncing that ball. I'm gonna kick your ass. You're out of control. Get out of my way, Rooster Boy. That's when he pushes who was the guy that was married to Julia Roberts? Tall guy with a big head. Anyway, pushes. I love it. Pushes him out of the way. And anyway, he just in his the acupuncturist. That's right. In his head, he's just going over all these times that he was so angry and shaking and freaking out. And Hank, he comes back and he's like, "Oh, that could be me laying there." And Peggy says, "It does not have to be, Hank. You are taking a class that gives you tools to handle your anger. You love tools. Go ahead and use them." That is the first thing I've heard Peggy say in a very long time that makes any damn sense.
No, definitely.
It goes with the conversation. She is trying to help. That is the first time in a very long time Peggy has made any sense.
Yeah, that's a lot of sense for sure.
That's an actual like life partner thing to say, which is not something Peggy does.
First in a long time, yeah.
All right, we're back at Staubach Elementary. It is day. The instructor Barry is up at the front, and he goes, "I know a lot of you thought you wouldn't make it to graduation, but you have. Well, not all of you. As much as it pains me, I have to fail Big Jim. I mean, he died of anger. My hands are tied." Okay, all right, buddy. Hank just kind of looks over and stares at the empty seat, and then he goes, "It's diploma time, Mr. Hill. Congratulations." Hank comes up to the front of the room to get his piece of paper. He goes, "It says Hank Hall. You got the I and the A mixed up. This might make it difficult for me to get any restraining order lifted. He goes, oh, I bet that really stings your beans, doesn't it, Hank?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah. Hey, you big chowder head, you spelled my name wrong. You're just a body with a big bowl of soup on it. I mean, he's trying. Hank is trying here.
He's trying for sure.
The instructor said,
it boils down to, it's not that Hank is an angry, mad person. Hank just does not like people who lack, not necessarily stupid people, but people who lack common sense.
Yeah.
Which isn't so common as you would think it is by the phrase common sense.
Barry, the instructor, says, congrats, man. You passed the final test. Next up, Mr. Mangione. Chuck Mangione gets up because he's sitting on the front row with his trumpet. And he goes, Chick Mangione, I'm not a chick, I'm a dude. And he just smacks him with his trumpet, knocks the damn instructor out. So I think he failed. Now we're back out at the alley. Hank comes out by himself. He's got the beer cooler with him. He sets it down next to him. He kind of looks up and down the alley. There's nobody there. And so he just kind of, it's peaceful, pops open his beer. Then you start hearing, and the cooler starts moving. And then you see a hole open up with that digger, and the digger grabs onto the cooler and pulls it underground. So Dale is under the alley digging his tunnel. And from the tunnel, you hear beer cooler docking complete. We have beer, deploy lips. And then Hank looks down there and he's like, what the? You actually dug the dang tunnel? But I told you. All right, easy there. Angry. He's telling himself. All three are down in the tunnel. They got the headlamps on like miners. And they are sitting under there. Hank sticks his head down into it. And he tells himself, easy there, angry bear. I mean, he's trying, man. He's rhyming.
He's doing his best. That's the thing that I'll give Hank like a thumbs up for in this scene, dealing with this crazy ass shit that's happening here, is no matter at what like detriment that's going to happen to his friends, he's trying to remain calm because he wants to be right for Peggy, kind of thing. Like Peggy told him that you could do it. So I think in the back of his mind, he's kind of thinking like, well, my wife wants me to be, I'm doing this for Peggy. I'm doing this for Peggy. And then
he's like, die
boom. Yeah. He doesn't want to die. And that's the thing is he's equating his particular situation with Big Jim's when they're two totally separate like people.
They are, but I do have to give it to Hank for noticing that maybe he could calm down a little bit, and maybe it will extend his life, and maybe he can be around his son and his daughter, his son and his wife. So from in the hole, we hear, "Is that Hank Hill? You don't sound 100 feet away." He goes, "No, gentlemen, you'll be happy to know that I am certified anger-free. Now that the restraining order's been lifted, what do you say you guys take a break from that dark tunnel and enjoy a cold beer up here in the sunny alley?" Dale says, "Don't waste time talking to him. We got to dig a place to put our empties." He starts the digger back up. Hank pops his head back up, and he looks down the alley both ways. He sees a trash truck coming, and we hear the music start to swell, bum, 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 that kind of thing. He looks back down in there and he says, fellas, you might want to get out of there. You see, there's a garbage truck coming. They weigh about 5 tons, and your last tunnel couldn't support me on an empty stomach. Now the guys are still under the street. They're sitting around the beer cooler. They got their little headlamps on. No time to gab, Hank. We got bigger fish to fry. He goes, this game, gentlemen, is Crazy Eights. So they're going to sit down there and play freaking Crazy Eights in a tunnel under the street. Hank freaks out. He kind of looks back and forth. He's just like, oh, okay. And he runs out in front of the truck, puts his hands up and yells, stop. And he goes, okay, look, my idiot friends rented a ditch witch and I think I missed a piece. He tells him to come out, and Dale tells him he doesn't speak surface. But anyway, he runs
surface. Yeah.
Big surface. But he runs out in front of the truck and he's telling the trash truck driver, he goes, okay, look, my idiot friends rented a ditch witch and they're in the tunnel under the alley. So if you drive over there, you're probably going to crush them to death. The trash truck driver looks at him and goes, buddy, I used to be just like you, drinking, hanging around in alleys, making up stories just to get attention. Get it together. He goes, gosh, dang it. He runs back to the tunnel. He's starting to get angry now. The veins starting to stick out on his neck a little bit because he can't get them to come out. He goes, oh, pet the cat. Come on, guys, please get out of there. He goes, watch the anger. And you can tell now that the finger cast is gone. So it's not on there anymore. So we know it's the end of the 8 weeks. He goes, you don't want to end up like Big Jim. Remember? He's dead. Yeah, we all remember. Thanks, Dale. Hank says, that's because Big Jim had an anger problem. This is different. I have an idiot problem. The truck keeps coming. He finally starts getting a little more pissed and a little more pissed. He goes, oh, guys, come on, get out. And then he pops. And he's like, get out, get out, get out. If you don't get out of that gut dang rat hole now, I'll get my circular saw, come down there and cut off all your fingers and toes. Now move, move, move. And they start getting out. The tunnel starts shaking a little bit. He's able to pull them all out of the tunnel. And then the truck comes along and boop, falls right in the sinkhole that was made by the tunnel. Dale looks at it and says, all right, Hank, now that we're out of the tunnel, what's so damn important?
Ooh,
I don't get it.
Just saved your life.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Saved you from dying. Come on, guys.
All right, so later we're in the alley. It's all 4 of them again. Boomhauer, man, I got dang old coldest beer in my town, man. Talking about I owe you one, man. He says, thanks, Boomhauer. Bill says, Hank, I cleaned all those Whataburger wrappers off my lawn just like you told me to. It's just my little way of saying thank you for losing your temper. Dale says, and to show you that we're best buds again, I'm going to connect your houses with a rope bridge. He gets out a freaking harpoon and shoots Hank's house with a harpoon with a rope attached.
With a harpoon, yes.
He goes, Dale. He goes, wait, here's the fun part. And he gets out those bicycle pedals that you put on a zip line. He throws them up over it. And he goes, wait, here's the fun part. Ah, yeah, zip. And then he just falls down on the ground. He goes, well, you get the idea. So no matter what you do for Dale, it's going to end this way. And that is the end of season 7.
That is it.
7. Now we get the credits, and then afterwards we hear Bill say, yes, I would like a piece of candy. And that is it, man. That is season 7, episode 7, 6 ABE 18, the Texas Skilsaw Massacre, originally aired December 15th, 2002. And you are right, Artie, more property damage.
All right, Rusty. Sue him, actually. Well, that's the thing I didn't understand about this episode is Hank could have sued him for digging holes in his floors and all that. But, Hank's not a big litigator, apparently. But yeah, you could find us anywhere and still on TikTok at BWAAAKOTH. And if you go over to the Red Note app, you could find us over there at BWAAAKOTH, but it's all in Mandarin.
The Red Note app.
Okay. Well, it's more of a joke than anything. I don't really have us on Red Note, but what happened was when TikTok was on its way out, everybody was looking for an alternative, and this app called Red Note shot to the top of the charts on Android and Apple. But it is literally the same thing as TikTok, but it's directly owned by the CCP, and it's all in Mandarin. So we went from TikTok, which is English targeted, American targeted app, to an actual Chinese app. So honestly,
it got
thousands and thousands of, well, I wouldn't say worse. I think it was probably one of the greatest cultural exchanges of information between Chinese and American citizens without a government agent facilitating it, kind of thing. Thousands and thousands of Americans switched over to the Red Note app and were interacting with China. I'm on there. They call me the bearded uncle. I actually don't have one for King of the Hill, but I have my own just as a social experiment just to see what it's about. And they're so enamored by the idea of America and what it is, and they're so interested in our opinion because they want to know if their country's lying to them about America. So when they heard that Americans have to have 2 jobs to survive, they thought that was just propaganda being fed to them by China. So when they said that Americans don't have access to free healthcare, they thought that was just propaganda being fed to them by China. So all these Americans are over there telling them all of the truths that their government has been telling them, and then they're also finding out all the lies that America is telling us about China. So their government is actually giving them more truth about America than our government is giving us truth about China. Yes, it's a communist country. No, I'm not a sympathizer, but it's different. It's not outright communism like we think communism. They are a capitalist society. They do run off of corporations and money controls their world just as much as it controls ours. But it was really this insane exchange of information between China and America.
Artie says that his 13-year-old nephew already got on the new one. 170 million overnight.
170 million Americans went to Red Note almost in a 24-hour time period. Absolutely.
And then blah, 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 blah says all governments are the same and that their kid was trying to learn Mandarin because of it.
Yeah. Insane.
And Mr. Z is asking if you are a Tojo.
I have Toe Jam.
I think it's a different country, Mr. Z.
I have Toe Jam.
Hey, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. I know this one's a little weird, but we'll be back in studio next week. And we've got our Friday episode coming up. Please try to enjoy that.
Yeah.
And then we will see you again on Monday. Can't tell you guys how much we love you and how much you mean to us. You are what this show is about, and we thank you for
You're the blood of this show. Yeah, you're the beating heart. We do appreciate everybody that hangs out on the lives with us. Again, if you're listening to the audio version of this, please come hang out with us if you would like. If you're ever available on Sundays, we generally record Sunday late morning, early afternoon, in between 10 and 12 Central Time. Just come hang out with us. Hit the notification bell. Come onto YouTube. We're trying to get as many people as we can onto YouTube to come hang out with us on these lives. It would be great to have you guys if you're available. Just on this stream alone, we've gotten 4 new subscribers. So everybody that's subscribed, we appreciate it. Thanks for Mr. Z hanging out. Arthur, as always, we appreciate you hanging out. Blah, blah, blah. You're always there hanging out. Rusty Shackelford, we appreciate you. Pill Gillis, thanks for coming and hanging out with us. Stoner, thanks for coming out and hanging out with us. And a special thank you to Jordan, one of our long time viewers, as well as Arthur, too. A special shout out to them. They've been watching us almost from the beginning.
Mr. Z says, good show, and like and subscribe. And we really appreciate it, man. Just spread the word.
We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Word of mouth has done more for our show than anything I've done on social media.
Thanks, Rusty. All right, guys, y'all take it easy. We're gonna try not to freeze this week. We've got a big Arctic cold front coming in, and we will see you again on Friday, and then we'll see you right back here on Monday. I guess we'll be here Sunday, but it's a Monday episode.
Yeah.
So. All right, y'all take it easy, and I think there's really only one thing left to say.
Yeah, at this point, I think the only thing left to say would be Wimatanye.
Wimatanye, indeed.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.